what we have is never enough. And whenever we have what we want, we start looking for the next thing to have. As I said, the whole consumer society is built on that.
If I get a new car, I'm really happy for a few days.
For a few days, until you see that your neighbor just got a new car which is better than yours.
Better than my car, and
Right.
I'm not so happy anymore.
Right. So there are two elements about the will to receive here in humans. First of all, envy, and next, the need to be superior. Okay? It's not just that I'm envy of what someone else. I don't just want to be on a par with everyone else. I want to be at least slightly higher. Okay? There are tons of researches showing that if you make $100,000 a year, but you live in a social environment where people make $200,000 a year, you're going to feel miserable. But if you make $50,000 a year, and you live in an environment where people make $25,000 a year, then you feel great.
That's called, in psychology, hedonic adaptation, which basically means that you adapt to anything, any pleasure that you get, you immediately adapt to it, and then you're already pursuing the next kind of pleasure. And it's a good example because I teach, and whenever I ask my students how their grade was, it's never about the actual grade. They always tell me how their grade was in comparison to their class. So it's like, I got 60 out of 100, but everyone else got 40, so I'm good. or I got 90, but everyone got 100, so it wasn't so good. It's always measured according to everyone else. That's how they measured it, and I'm always amazed by it. That's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, it was already the way to measure yourself. I remember speaking to American students. I had American friends, and like we would talk about being in school and everything, and they would never mention grades. They would always say, I'm in the top 5% of my class, I'm in the top 2%. They were never below the top 5%, by the way, never, ever. At least not in what they mentioned. So yeah, that's how that's the culture. So we can see that it's never enough to be good. It's never enough to be great. You always have to be greater, better than the others around you.
So is that the will to receive, or is that the evil inclination, or are they the same thing?
That's when the will to receive becomes egoism. Because eventually, you don't just want to be better. If you've done your best and it still isn't good enough, then you start wanting others to be worse. That's when the will to receive becomes evil.
That's the misuse of the will to receive.
Right. And that's inherent in human nature. Okay, it's not our fault that we're like that, but we have to learn how to harness it, how to use it correctly, and then we turn it around. That's why we have a correction method. What is the correction about? It's about taking this inclination, this desire, and using it productively. Okay? Our whole technology and society and culture are built on having this will to receive, this evil inclination. It's great that we have all these things. That's the reason why we can talk to you now, because of everything we developed. But again, at some point when you use it detrimentally, it hurts you to a point where society becomes unsustainable. And we are at that point right now. So we need a correction method for the will to receive. It doesn't mean we have to stop developing whatsoever. It just means that we have to start using what we're developing for the mutual benefit, for society's benefit, instead of just for our own. So we have a whole culture to change here. And that's where education comes in, and that's where correction comes in.